study,
and play come together on a Windows 11 PC.
And for a limited time, college students get
the best of both worlds.
Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
This is what everyone's talking about.
Everything's on the table.
This is what champions come to take. This is what everyone came to see.
And the slam!
No do-overs. No second chances. No more Mr. Nice Guy. This is winner take all. The NBA Finals continue on ABC and the ESPN app.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Hello there, Stanley Carr here. You know, I love collecting music and sports memorabilia. Want to know where you can find some? I'll tell you. Go to oldglory.com. This website features one-of-a-kind apparel from your favorite sports teams and musical artists. And I can help you get 15% off of all items. Use the code WWH135. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show. Before I introduce my guest today, I want to take this time to promote our brand new book, Champions for a Cause, Volume 1. If you can get a picture of this real quick here. Yes, there we go. We got it in the frame. Champions for a Cause Volume 1 is a collection of interviews with some of the guests that we've had on the show. I'm talking about people like Mark Marrow, Jake the Snake Roberts, Tito Santana, so many others. If you're into professional wrestling, into charity work and giving back and things like that, check out Champions for a Cause. You can buy it on Amazon for $15 as a paperback, and we'll have more information at the end of the show if you didn't hear it the first time. So with me right now, I have a very special guest. He has competed for numerous promotions, most notably with AEW and Ring of Honor. I am pleased to welcome Anthony Henry. Welcome, Anthony, to Wrestling with Heart.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me on. It's going to be a good time.
Definitely will be. So I did a little research on you. You were born in Augusta, Georgia. Were you always a big wrestling fan?
Yeah. Born in Augusta, Georgia, still in Augusta, Georgia. So, my earliest memories of anything is really all wrapped around wrestling. So, I mean, my father, he watched it a lot. He was, into old WCW, NWA stuff. So that was kind of probably the first memories of wrestling, was exposure to that. And that's where I started falling in love with it. I found people like wrestlers like Sting and the Steiner brothers, who those were the main ones that I connected to immediately. And I just never stopped, I guess. Yeah, we're still here.
You mentioned Sting. He was just such a fan favorite, and he had those colorful costumes and the outfits. Think back to Surfer Sting or the Crow Sting. Just seemed like he was a huge favorite amongst a lot of people, especially with young kids. And so that was a huge draw back in the day with WCW, was drawing that audience. And so what was it about Sting that connected with you were able to connect with him a lot the most?
Yeah, I think I think initially it was just, the bright colors, the hair, and then how, I guess, lively he was, how energetic he was on screen. That's probably what drew me into him. I don't know, I was really into a certain look as well. So like he was jacked as well. So like the Steiner brothers were jacked, he was jacked, Lex Luger was jacked. And those are the main ones that like I really was drawn to from the get-go. So probably that also played a role in it.
Did you prefer Surfer Sting or Crow Sting?
Honestly, Surfer Sting. I did get the opportunity, before he retired to have a match with him. Me and JD, we did a match on Collision, and so it was a really cool experience to actually be able to work with the guy that was probably my first favorite professional wrestler. So that's a cool moment.
Definitely is. It kind of comes full circle. What was he like to be around backstage?
Oh, he's very cool. Very cool. So, he had his own locker room. Not a lot of people do, but we have a select few people who do have like their own locker room. He was one of them, which I get, especially at that age and being in the business for as long as he has been, he wanted probably to have his solitude. So when we came in to talk to him, we all went into his locker room and, we were talking. It was pretty easy putting everything together, and he was just super dope. Like I don't remember what I was talking to him about, but it was like some old WCW stuff. And, he was very cool about talking about it, telling his stories and stuff like that. And then I think like after the match, he was so thankful for us doing it. And he was really happy with the match, which was also, of course, like really fulfilling for us. JD actually cried. he takes the Scorpion Death Drop, and as you can't see it on TV, but he was very emotional about it. So Sting was everything that you would want, to find out about somebody that you kind of looked up to at some point. Very, very cool guy.
And he definitely had one of the most unique retirement celebrations in wrestling history, because when you look back to, I believe it was in North Carolina, where he had his last match with him and Darby Allin winning the tag titles. And so you had like people from his past that were there, like Ricky Steamboat and Magnum TA and all these different people that are out there. It's really an emotional moment. It sets in because this is a guy that a lot of people, a lot of fans grew up watching, and some of his peers were able to step in the ring with him and be across from him for so many years.
Yeah. He like I said, he was just a cool guy. Everybody liked him a lot. And yeah, we had the match too. It was also our match was in Charlotte. So his last run, and then watching that on I was actually at my house watching it on pay-per-view. It was a very, very cool moment. And like I think that was another big thing is like he got the best out that like he could ask for. I think that was probably everything he wanted and more. You don't always get that with wrestling, but he did. And I think that's also just Tony, really wanted to make sure that it was handled properly so that like, he got what he deserved. So all around great.
Most definitely. Did you know at a young age you wanted to be a professional wrestler?
I don't know if I actually like actively went around saying it. I don't remember, but again, it's just from my earliest memories. That's all I know. Like I watched everything there was to watch. I was there Saturdays watching. What was it, Worldwide, and like some of those other like smaller shows that they did, like at the the Orlando studios with the rotating ring. I watched everything that was WCW Saturday night. Like everything was wrestling for me, and I definitely was one of those that had like my wrestling buddy, little stuffed doll. I did have a Sting one, white. It was I remember the colors too. It was white. He had the white tights on. Yeah, and I would, toss that thing around my living room, jump off on it and stuff like that. So I would say most people that, were there with me growing up probably would say that it made sense where I'm at now.
Yeah. Once you know this is what you want to do, you put your mind to it, you go for it. And so, were you ever big into athletics as a kid? Did you play any sports?
No, that's the funny thing. Actually, now I wish I would have done like amateur wrestling, for numerous reasons. One, because I was a fighter and that would have helped out a lot. And two, I just think having those bases does help a lot with footwork and things like that when it comes to pro wrestling. But I was into basketball. I still like basketball quite a lot. Not really anything else. Like I was a big fan of Michael Jordan because I was, in my teenage years when he was kind of on the rise, doing his thing with the Bulls, winning all the championships, and I was like watching all those games. So I was a big fan of Jordan, and played like rec ball once, I think, 1 year. Never played in school or anything. It's just something I was into, but I never really got into any other sports. Never tried to, play them in school or anything like that.
So it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing where you just decided, I want to be a wrestler. How do I get trained? How do I get in the business? Where do I go?
It wasn't really, well, okay, I wasn't actively like out looking for a school, Mm-hmm. Now today we have, Google and AI and stuff like that. So it's easy to just kind of figure out just about anything, like how do I do this? So back then, showing my age, I guess, I started in 2002. So back then, internet was a thing, but it wasn't like it is now. And so it wasn't like I knew exactly where to find a school and anything like that. I was just backyard wrestling with my friends. And we never really did anything at anywhere else other than this one location, which was one of my friends' houses. Until this one day, they had built a new park in Augusta, Georgia at the time. And it was nice. Had a lot of cool like playgrounds and stuff like that, and elevators and like steps that we could use. And so we decided to go out there and do a match out there. All like basically kind of like what you would see now, like these street fights where the wrestlers will come back to the back and like they're all everywhere and they go outside the arena. That was kind of like the gist of what we were trying to do. And we did that at this park. And when we did that, a security guy was watching us, and he wasn't upset that we were doing it. He just actually came and talked to us, and he ended up saying, "Oh yeah, there's this school, up the road," and we were like, "Oh really?" And then we ended up going to that school like probably the next week, and all three of my friends, like it was me and two friends, all three of us, we ended up going and signing up, but I was the only one that like stayed. They ended up falling out and not pursuing it, and I ended up staying, and here we are.
Yeah, it's amazing. I feel like because a lot of the times when I've heard about backyard wrestling, it's kind of something that a lot of people do, especially kids do for fun, and then eventually somehow they work their way into making that transition to go to a wrestling school and getting training and actually learning the proper etiquette and basics and everything that comes with that. So when you started, what can you tell me about learning from certain people that kind of help mold the foundations of where you are today?
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like we did go to the school. I ended up staying. And depends on okay. I don't feel like the foundation was set there with that school. I learned how to bump safely. I learned how to do like some very, very basic things. But the guy who ran it, who still runs the school, I think now, he was never even a professional wrestler. He was a referee, so there was like kind of a very short ceiling to where we could get. And it was really one of his best trainees who was doing the trainings, right? So there was only so much we were going to get out of it. And I started wrestling like maybe, I want to say like less than a month after starting, I was already wrestling, and they did shows like bi-weekly at the school. And so I got my first experiences with a crowd, I guess. It wasn't a big crowd. It was mostly just, friends and family of the people that were on the show. But nonetheless, but I did realize that like it was kind of not what I didn't have everything I needed. So that being the case, I kind of had found out about NWA Wildside, which is a place that a lot of people have gone through. It's also a place where AJ Styles was trained. And so that appealed to me a lot because I just started kind of watching independent wrestling and watching like TNA at the time was very new. So I saw AJ, of course. And so I'm like, oh, cool. Let's go there. They had these Friday night shows that were done every week. And then they had their TV tapings like, I think bi-weekly too. So the Friday shows was just kind of like show up and you're basically booked. Right. And then they'll put you in whatever and you just get experience and it is what it is. So I saw my first match the first time because I was late because I didn't have a GPS. All I had was little map quest that I had, printed out and we got lost a little bit. So we got there, show was already going. So I didn't get to wrestle, but watched Slim J at the time wrestling Azriel, who was part of the Lost Boys at one point for NWA Wildside. But they beat the crap out of each other, and it looked great. And I was like, "This is where I need to be," because you can always clearly see the differences. And like when you go from a place that's not good to a place that's like, oh, you know what I mean? So immediately that appealed to me because I'm like, oh, how do you get better? Well, you want to do this with better people than you, right? So I think I talked to Slim afterwards. He was really cool. He's still really cool, cool guy. But he gave me some advice. I came back the next week, started working. I was really awful. I actually think I worked my friend actually the first time, which is kind of funny because that's probably his last match. I think he realized that like he didn't have the physicality for it. Probably didn't really want to do it as much. He was just kind of doing it because we were doing it. So, but that was his last match. I ended up being there for a long time. And this is a long-winded story, but at the end of the day, I ended up moving up there, closer to there, so I could do the training there. And that's where I really built my foundation under Todd Sexton, who was a student of Shawn Michaels, the Shawn Michaels Academy. So Todd Sexton, and then a guy named Sal Renaro, who he actually did win the Ring of Honor tag belts with Tony Mamaluke at one point. So he was in Ring of Honor for a while in the 2000s. But, yeah, the foundation was really built there. That's where I learned how, to do everything properly. That's how I learned, psychology a little bit better, how to put together a match and sell and all the things that, you really need to get down to be a decent professional wrestler.
What were some things that Sal and Todd kind of went over with you that stuck out to you the most, like things that you've applied to today, even after your initial training started in the wrestling business?
Yeah, it's been so long ago. I don't know if I can point out like anything like in particular. It was just a lot of footwork and drills that we didn't do in my initial training school. So it was just help with that, help with selling and the psychology part of things, like how to put together a match. Those were the main things that I learned over the initial school I was at. Those were the differences, is like learning how to actually put things together in a way that made sense.
Do you feel it was hard for you to really learn at first, or do you feel like you picked it up quickly?
I would say I picked it up pretty quickly. I was fairly athletic, so I think I've always been kind of somebody who can just kind of look at things and pick it up pretty quickly as far as like athletically. So that's kind of always been a good thing for me when it comes to professional wrestling, because I can literally look at something most of the time and pull it off, unless it's like something crazy that Will Ospreay would do or something. But yeah. So I mean, not too much of a difficulty. The main difficulty, like I said, and this happens with a lot of people even now, is learning the psychology of it and actually applying the things that make sense. That's what the biggest hurdle most people have to get over, I think, because like being athletic is cool and like, yeah, it gets you part of the way, but you could be really unathletic as long as you put together a match and have good ring psychology and like be able to actually play with the emotions of the people. At the end of the day, those people are probably going to be more successful, than the people who are just athletic.
Yeah, I feel like ring psychology is so important because you want to know why you're doing this move and why is it important? Why are you doing this in this particular moment? It's not just enough to be able to say, oh, I'm going to get this and this and then this. And you got to do it for a meaning. You got to do it for a reason. So you are able to connect with that audience because they're the ones that they're paying their hard-earned money to watch this. They're showing up to these events, and they want to see a good show, but they also want to see a story behind it, story behind the moves especially.
Yeah, I think that's what, that's what gets people invested. It's like now so many people are, like, compared to like when I started, like there were athletic people like Jack Evans was around already, and like and Paul London and like some of these guys, but like this stuff comparatively, like I would say that there's a lot more athletic people in wrestling in comparison to like the past, especially like, and it's just the evolution of wrestling. It's like we get people who are just, get it, like as far as athleticism goes, they have it and they get into wrestling. But again, like you said, it's like you got to know why you're doing it. But so it is the people who learn how to get the people actually invested. Like, because most fans don't come into a wrestling show saying, yeah, I really want to see about ring psychology. But when they watch a match, they either going to get that popcorn reaction, which is like where the guys are just really athletic and like do some crazy stuff that like people are like, oh, that'll like a car crash. Or you get, that real emotion that comes from like the main event guys, the guys who are actually giving you a story. They don't realize it's a story. They just get invested in it without thinking about it. And now they're into it and their emotions are going. That's the key.
Exactly. And the thing is you've wrestled for so many different places, and we'll talk about your AEW career in just a second, but you had a brief little run in WWE, signing with them and working in the Performance Center. Talk to me about your time there and your experience in NXT.
Yeah. Also, people will be seeing me drink this. It is a diet soda, just so you know. I'm not drinking soda. So there's that. And it's the coconut diet Dr. Pepper, which is amazing. But back to WWE. So, yeah, man, the thing with wrestling with me is that like it's always been like I hate to say this, but it always feels like things just happen for a reason. And like, for example, the wrestling school, it's like we're just randomly at this park. The one day the security guard wants to come up to us and tell me about this wrestling school. So in a weird way, I do kind of believe that, like, in fate, in that it's like I was just meant to be a professional wrestler. No matter what, no matter what I tried to do, that's probably the path I was going to take, I think, maybe, because my whole career has been that. Because, I was basically on the verge of quitting when I got signed to WWE, because it's a whole story, and I've told it before, but basically, Evolve was working with NXT. Those guys were coming in and working all of us at the time. So we were having really big crowds. It was really cool. Regal was at a lot of the stuff, like just checking people out and things. Austin Theory was like the first guy to kind of really go in, and he got signed and all that. They were looking at him, and then like I was one of the next ones. And so I went in, and, I was at NXT one day being looked at or whatever. And, it just – the weird thing about medical was just like I didn't realize it. It was a mistake on my part, I guess, was, being very upfront with them about, things. And it's like, oh, have you ever been, knocked out? I'm like, well, yeah, I'm a wrestler. That happens to all of us. But, they basically took that as like, oh, you've been knocked out a few times. Like, that's a liability, essentially. It's like they told me not to do anything. That it was really weird. And I don't feel like it would happen now, because medical is just I don't see that happening. It's like, even if you told somebody that, I know AEW wouldn't do it for sure. That I'm very close to the medical staff there. But either way, it essentially became a thing where it was like they told Gabe at the time that, yeah, we're no longer interested because he's a liability or something. And so that was a really down moment, because like I remember getting that phone call, and then he was like, also, because Evolve isn't working with NXT, I don't think I can use you either, because it's going to look bad on my – basically, because like he had this job, going in with the connection with them, so he didn't want to risk probably, there being some kind of issue there with me working the show, even though NXT didn't want to work with me because of my condition. So that was a real down moment. And I was like, and then COVID happened. And so it got worse. And I was just like, man, I'm done with wrestling. I'm done with wrestling. And I didn't wrestle for a while here and there when people started coming back from COVID, but not a lot. And then as I'm about to quit, I get a call one day again from Gabe. And he's like, hey, man, so do you still want to retire? And my response was, that depends on what you want. And then so he gave me the rundown. It was just basically like, oh, this tryout for WWE was specifically like indie wrestlers, and they want you, or we want to put you on it. And initially I was going to say no, but my wife told me I'd regret it, and she's probably right. So I did it. And then, yeah, I got signed. And it was cool being signed. It was cool being there because that's like obviously a dream. That was my first experience working with one of the big, well, I guess it is the biggest company in the world now. And so it was a really surreal moment and never thought it was going to happen. It was just fate. Again, it's all I can say. Bad timing though, because they changed, their whole staff, their whole management staff was like changed halfway through, or like 4 months, whatever it was, 4 or 5 months into my tenure there. And well, what happened next? Like they basically started cutting all these people from NXT, and I happened to be one of them. So it was a short stay, but I did learn a lot. It was a very cool experience training there, learning a lot from, the coaches. And yeah, I think that was the question, right? Was my WWE experience, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because this is the biggest wrestling promotion in the world, and you have an opportunity to wrestle for them, and to have that dream kind of taken away from you. That's such a gut punch. And so you got to find ways to bounce back. And you talked earlier about, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And so what was going through your mind thinking about quitting, but also the biggest motivator for you to keep going? Because when you have all these hurdles, it can be hard, but you've got to find ways to keep pushing. So what would you say has been the biggest motivator for you to kind of block out all the noise, so to speak?
I think my wife, she does a really good job of having my back and, never giving up on this whole wrestling thing. Like she's always been at the forefront of like being an advocate for me doing it, because obviously when I got released from WWE, another big down moment. So it was like these crazy highs and big lows. So it's easy to let your emotions get the best of you. And she's always been there. Like when the thing happened with WWE, it was the same kind of situation. I was kind of like contemplating again, just quitting. But she was like, they're supporting me doing it and continuing to do it, and go ahead and start, looking for other places to go. And so, her mainly, she's the rock, I guess you could say, my rock. And she keeps me going and has kept me going a lot with professional wrestling over the years.
And since that time, AEW called and you had an opportunity to wrestle for them on multiple occasions. Talk to me about that experience and getting the sign with the company.
Yeah. So we were in Orlando, of course, and obviously now that I'm no longer making the money I was making.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Enjoy complimentary access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection and apply to find out your welcome offer, which could be as high as 300,000 membership rewards points. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Welcome offers vary, and you may not be eligible for an offer. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
I'm like, okay, we're going to go ahead and go back to Augusta, Georgia. That just seems like the decision we're going to have to make, And so we start moving, and I get a message from QT Marshall, and he's asking me about my non-compete, and I'm immediately like, oh, so they want, okay. I guess they're probably wanting me to come down or something. So JD was already working there with them, so I'm sure he had something to do with it. But yeah, so I get that, but then it's on the day that I'm moving, like literally the day that I'm supposed to basically move. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm moving, yada yada. And I had a group of friends that were helping me move, and everybody's just like, no, we'll take care of it. You just go. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So we go down to the dark taping, you know, have a match with Eddie Kingston, which Eddie's a cool guy, another friend of mine in wrestling. And he basically wanted to get me hired anyway. So he's like, all right, we got 8 minutes or whatever it is, and I want it to be mostly you. And then I win at the end. So, you know, then I came back for numerous dark tapings and things like that, just as not signed, but just as kind of like, hey, I'm here, per appearance type deal. Eventually that led to a contract, which led to a re-signing. And so that's what, 2021. So it's like 5 years I've been there now. And overall, it's just night and day when it compares to at least my experience with WWE, right? Because my experience isn't going to be necessarily the same as others. Management has changed again since that time, so I don't know. But in my experience, AEW has been just it was like a walk of fresh air. It's just like, you know, I'm not walking on eggshells. Like it's so chill backstage. Like everybody's there to support each other.
You have more freedom.
Yeah, and I just don't feel the pressure. Like, I don't know, maybe I put it on myself, but I felt like there was a lot of pressure in WWE to be on your, you know, best behavior at all times because you might be on the chopping block. If not, I don't know. And at AEW, I just don't feel that. And, you know, obviously I'm able to talk to my actual boss, you know, there obviously I didn't. So, you know, have conversations with Tony. It's okay. He's very supportive, and it's just a different experience.
The cool thing about the wrestling business is that you have alternatives. You have multiple places for people to work. It's not just one big company anymore. You have multiple places for people to go and practice their craft, hone their craft. You have people not only in front of the camera, but also behind the camera as well, with producers, directors, writers, agents. And so you answer to all these different people, but you also have people that are willing to help you and kind of take you under their wing, so to speak. So who would you say have been some of the people at AEW that you kind of look up to for guidance?
You know, as far as that goes, I for a long time when Brian was there, it was Brian Danielson. Now, doesn't hurt that he's probably my favorite wrestler of all time. But he's just a super cool guy too. And I think when he sees people that are good, not only good, but like people that get it and care about the entire product, I think he respects that. And like, so he was always someone that was easy to go to. Somebody else is like John Moxley. And keep in mind, it's not just like, because you could pick people in the locker room and that you think are the leader and like go speak to them. These are guys who like actually went out of their way to speak to me or like give me words of encouragement during times where they didn't have to. And these are top guys. So it's like immediately I'm drawn to that because it's like they're obviously there's no motive behind it. Like they just want to see the good of the company and they want to help people, you know, out and be better and all this stuff to help the company. And so John Moxley, Brian Danielson are standouts. I will also shout out the Young Bucks because they're super cool too. I haven't had a whole lot of conversations with them, but when I tore my biceps, they reached out to me. I've never really spoken to them too much other than like a hey, bye. But when they saw I tore my bicep, they did actually reach out to me on, I think it was X, but they reached out, long paragraph, you know, like giving me support. And those moments, those are the things that like I kind of think about, you know, because they don't have to do it. They're all top guys, barely spoken to me, and they go out of their way to do that. So that to me like means a whole lot. And I think for that reason, all the people I mentioned are definitely locker room leaders, people that I would look to for guidance.
You've had the opportunity to share the ring with so many different people. As we talked about Sting earlier on being somebody that you got to be across the ring from. Who would you say have been some of your favorite opponents that you've gotten to be in the ring with over the years?
You know, one that stands out a whole lot that I don't know if it'll ever happen again, but I've had 3 matches with Tommaso Ciampa that at one point helped me skyrocket on the indies a little bit more, I guess. I had these matches at PWX, which is now a company that is out of business, but was very popular in North Carolina, was pretty much the place in North Carolina at one point to go wrestle. And so I had 3 matches with him. And the last one in particular, was one that a lot of people talk about. And there's a couple of reasons they talk about it. One, they talk about it because there's no camera footage of it because the camera died, which is unfortunate. They talked about it because it was a really epic match, which I do agree with. I think it was one of my favorites. And then 3, they talk about it because we went way, 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 way over our time. And I got a whole lot of heat for that. But I'll do it. I'll go back and do that again any day just because it was well worth the experience, and it was well worth just being in the ring with him and learning from him. And we clicked very well. So if I ever get the chance, I'd like to do that one again. I just don't want it to be like a 5-minute TV match, though. I really want to give us some time and actually do what I know we have done and can do again.
Yeah, I mean, those are good things to have, being able to have those goals, and you're still relatively young to be able to still go out there and do what you have to do what you want to do. What would you say are things you would like to accomplish outside the wrestling business? Do you see yourself working backstage? Do you see yourself doing commentary?
It's not commentary for sure. Excuse me. But the coaching aspect kind of just found me in a way. I have a ring in my backyard, by the way. So, yeah, we do training in my backyard. And I don't have a school or anything, obviously, but we have people over and we do things sometimes. And at one point, I was going to be a trainer at a school that kind of fell through. But, I did learn that, I enjoy that part of it. And if nothing else, I've never been a main event guy at a big promotion like AEW, WWE, but I have been there and I have worked with all the big, main event people and learned from them. And I think I have a lot of experience both on TV and on the indies, because I was the indie guy for a long time, that I can help out a lot of people coming up. And so I could definitely see myself enjoying getting into, I don't know if it's a school, I don't know if it's working backstage at AEW at some point, transitioning to that. That'd be really cool. But I could definitely see that happening if the opportunity presents itself, for sure. Because it's just giving back to the wrestling business and helping out people, which I really enjoy on all fronts. It's whether it's wrestling or the fitness stuff I do, I just like helping people now. It's very gratifying to be able to do that and help people.
It definitely is. And we're a show that talks about giving back to your community, whether it is charity work or volunteering or something that you're doing, an endeavor like what you're doing with your fitness business. How did you get started with that?
So during the whole time I was doing independent wrestling, I was also going to school, college. I have 4 degrees that I don't do anything. Well, I kind of do, but don't do much with. But I have a master's in exercise science. So I guess you could say I'm using it. But that's always been my second passion is training and learning about the body and, the biology of it, the biomechanics of exercise and lifting and how all of this stuff correlates with things and transforming people's bodies through these mechanisms. It's all fascinating to me, the science of it. And so I love it a lot. And I've done some coaching in the past. I was a personal trainer for a while too, while I was independent wrestling. Did that for probably 6 months in person. And then when I got injured, when I tore my bicep, and then I, was off TV and not able to wrestle, I ended up working out to another online fitness coach who I've been following for a while, and I started working with him for my comeback, essentially, because I just wanted to okay, I have probably 6 months at least off. I want to see what I can do to look as best as possible when I come back. And during the time of working with him, I just like got so much out of it that I realized that like having a coach is not just about like programming exercises and cardio and giving you nutrition. It's a lot more to it. You know, it's just the accountability part of it. It's the encouragement. It's, you know, doing things in a way that just makes the most sense, efficiency wise, to get the most out of everything. You just want to get as much as possible out of everything, get the last drop out of it. And I was just really, really inspired by what he did for me, because I did come back looking in probably the best shape I had been. And at 40, I was probably 41 then, 42 now. So I was like, yeah, I think I want to do this. And then I learned about, you know, these mentors and stuff that you can get online, found me a mentor, started the business. And I think I'm probably at a year now into it. So it's been a really cool experience being able to do this and help people transform themselves.
And plus, too, it helps bring things into a new perspective, because when you're taking that time away from doing what you love so much, you appreciate it. You have a newfound appreciation for it. And so being able to have a vehicle to help others, it's just such a gift, because you're paying it forward to people that are going through similar struggles. And you've been there, you've seen it firsthand what happens, but now you're able to kind of have strategies of how to combat it.
Yeah, and I'm able to help a lot of people. And like, again, some of these people, man, it's just, you know, what you're actually able to do for them. You don't know it at first when you first start, of course, but like after you've done like, you know, 6 months with somebody and they've really lost X amount of weight, and they are so much more confident, and they tell you how much it means to them what you've helped them do. That's when it kind of gets emotional, and you're like, okay, this is like it's a deeper meaning than just, okay, let's go do some bench presses and squats. You know, it's not just that's not what it is. You know, when you get into good shape and you haven't been in good shape, if your health has been declining for some time, you've let yourself go, like, with that, usually confidence issues, you know, that is going to come with that. You're going to have confidence issues, self-esteem, you know, like it's going to be harder. Your relationships are going to be harder. Your friendships are going to be harder. Everything's harder because you're doubting yourself every step of the way. And then when you're able to improve those things and you're able to kind of get back into good shape, feel good, move better, all this stuff, like the confidence comes with it. The mental part of it comes with it. Like, you know, if you're depressed, you're able to kind of sometimes work your way out of depression, because it's just the two are correlated. Like, yeah, it really is. Like if you're in good physical condition, and I'm not saying you have to look like a bodybuilder, but if you're in good physical condition, you know, it's going to transfer over to your mental and your psyche. Like they're all intertwined.
Yeah, like you're saying, it helps build that confidence, and you feel good about yourself inside, that you're able to feel like you're able to do things or can do anything.
Anything. If you can go from like, you know, 250 to 200 pounds, for example, you know, and that's a lot of weight. If you're able to do that, it's like, then you kind of have more confidence realizing you could do other things not related to fitness, whether it's your career or, you know, starting a business of your own or whatever it may be. Like it gives you confidence to be able to like, I did this, so I can do that too.
What's been the reaction like with your peers? Have anybody from the wrestling world been inquiring about your services?
I've talked to a couple of people at AEW here and there. I don't actively like go in and try to promote it there, obviously, but most of them probably see it. But that being said, even though I don't necessarily market to pro wrestlers, I did at one point. I would say like probably more than 95% of my clientele are still professional wrestlers. Most of them independent wrestlers, or they're related, or they're fans, or they're in some way related to the business. They do something with it. So it's definitely out there for the wrestlers. And obviously part of most of my following stems from professional wrestling. So it makes sense that that's who sees my stuff and kind of reacts to it. Yeah, I've had a couple of people from AEW kind of talk to me about it. So that's really cool that, everybody else is seeing it too. And they see what I've done to myself, I think, too. And it's not a crazy transformation from my time in AEW to now, but it definitely is from WWE, my time in WWE to now. Like, the difference is pretty crazy just in my own transformation.
What do you find the most rewarding about helping other people with your fitness endeavors?
So I think, like, because I'm into it so much and because I always have been, I don't realize that not everybody is on the same level as far as the knowledge base goes with this stuff, right? So people, they obviously probably come across content and stuff like that on the Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that here and there, and they might see things, but you, at this point, it's almost like there's so much information you don't know what to take as, being an actual good take. So a lot of people are just very confused, I find. And so being able to help them understand things, I like to do it in a way where it's like I'm helping the client, but I'm also educating them on the things that actually work and what doesn't work and what they will be able to take with them after, if they ever stop working with me. So that way they can continue this for the lifetime and not just for the 6 months or a year or whatever it is that they are training with me. They're gonna be able to go have a normal life, be able to navigate through life, but not fall back into old patterns and not, go back into where they were, where they regain all the weight.
And two, it's like there's methods to the way things work. Because if one thing doesn't work, you could always work around it and try something else.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like more than one way to skin the cat, as they say. But I will say that the principles of everything are the same. Our biology is mostly the same. So it's like the things that work, they work because of the way our bodies work, and that's never going to change. So it's like we can. There's some formats of programming and nutrition that are going to work better for others, just because, and it's not because of specifically what you're doing. It's more because it allows you to be adherent. It's all about adherence and consistency. So if it allows for you to be more consistent and allows for you to be adherent, then at the end of the day, that's what's going to work for them. But at the end of the day, the biology of it's all the same. It's just how you get there may be different.
What do you find about giving back to the community that gives you the most joy?
Again, it's just changing people's lives, and you don't realize it until you're actually like been working with somebody for a long period of time, and you realize like the impact that you've been able to have on them. And again, like, other than wrestling, there's not really much else that gives you that same feeling. It's just so gratifying. But it's a completely different way, obviously, than wrestling. Like, wrestling, it's an adrenaline, and like just being able to go out there in front of a large crowd and be able to have them be fully invested in what you're doing. That's one feeling. And this is a whole completely other thing where it's like, and to be fair, like, I have also been told by some fans, like, I've had people cry that were like, really into things with my stuff and wrestling wise. I've had opponents like get real emotional from having matches. Actually, it's pretty crazy the impact you can have. And I've had people just thank me for like what we do and the entertainment we bring, and how we inspire them to do this and that. Like, so wrestling does that, absolutely, for sure. But this is just a different context. I'm directly helping this person change their life, and from that, they're going to be able to live a better life and maintain this for the rest of their life. And that's just a different feeling, because you're literally transforming their entire life, making it better.
Yeah, just enhancing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you hope to accomplish with your business in the next few years? What are your goals? Do you hope to expand on this fitness journey?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just a backup. It's like something I want to have full time. So, I mean, I'm doing pretty decent as far as like income comes with just that, regardless of wrestling. But of course, with any business, you want to build it, right? So I want to be able to sustain this so that at some point, if it has to be, it is my main source of income. And so obviously you want to grow. So that's the goal at this point, is just continuing to grow. And it's a whole process, man, because you got to learn how to do content in a way that's entertaining and engaging for people that want your product. And it's completely different than wrestling. So it's it's a learning curve there when it comes to just getting good at actually like posting content that people want to see and that actually connects with them. So they want to buy your stuff. So that's, it's a whole different world that I'm, kind of immersed into now. It's cool because it's different than professional wrestling, and I'm learning on the fly as I go.
Yeah, and so you're posting so many videos on YouTube and Instagram and all these different platforms. What do you feel like is the most fun part about posting content, and the not so fun part about posting content, like the least enjoyable part of it?
The least enjoyable part of it is feeling like I have to do it every single day, because I don't know, as you could say, I'm an influencer in a way, because I guess I am influencing people to, join my programming, but it is in a sense like you're trying to be you're a content creator, right? So I don't like feeling like I have to do it every single day, multiple times a day. It's like sometimes that's just I just don't feel like it, but I don't have that luxury, because at the end of the day, you gotta raise yourself. You gotta become you gotta do the things that the person you want to be would do, and not what the current you does. And so that would mean I have to do things sometimes that I don't necessarily want to do, but I'm gonna do them anyway. And so that's the negative part of it, is like not necessarily wanting to, but I know I have to. But the cool thing about doing it is you do get to be creative, and then also I can just get a lot off my chest. The yapping videos, as they call them, which is just like where I go and talk. Apparently, a lot of people like those. I just talk about things, and it's on my stories on Instagram, and then I'll post some of the videos as well as reels. I just find a topic and start talking about my thoughts on it, basically. And apparently, a lot of the wrestlers and stuff enjoy watching it, because it's what my wife tells me is that everybody's talking about it at the taping the other day. So she was there. And so that's funny to me. But the yapping videos, I've got, if anything, it's maybe just get better at articulating myself, which probably would transfer over to promos, obviously. And then the other stuff I don't necessarily love is like sometimes some of the videos there's a lot that goes into it, like editing wise, and doing very specific things, finding images, finding, clips, B-roll and things like that, and putting it all together. Sometimes it's a little time consuming, but at the end of the day, it's like, if that's the worst thing I got to do to make some money and help people, I think it's going to be okay. It's not like I'm out here doing manual labor. There's worse things I should be complaining about, right?
Yeah, you always want to cherish the simple things and be grateful for what you have.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like I'm making money from helping people, and I'm making money from doing this at home. So I should really just shut up and just do it. That's the moral of the story.
Well, Anthony, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on to the show. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find out more about you on social media and your fitness business?
Yeah, Anthony P. Henry is my handle on Instagram. Majority of the stuff that I do, especially fitness related, is all on Instagram. And this kind of tends to be the best place for that kind of stuff. So that's where I put it. But I am on TikTok. I think it's just Anthony Henry, ANTNY Henry. And then X is the same thing, Anthony Henry, ANTNY Henry. Those are the places, especially Instagram though.
All right. Well, thanks again, Anthony, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Appreciate you having me, man. Appreciate all the people listening, watching. Peace.
All right. And don't forget, again, we've got Champions for a Cause Volume 1. Our new book is out now on Amazon. You can get it for $15. Collection of incredible interviews with some of our favorite guests on the show that we've had on. I'm talking about Mark Marrow, Buff Bagwell, Tito Santana, Jake the Snake Roberts, and so many others. Check it out, Amazon, $15. Do not want to miss out on this. Until then, I'm Stanley Carr, and I'll see you next time.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Selling your car should feel like one less thing on your list, not one more. With Carvana, it is. Just go to Carvana.com, enter your license plate or VIN, and get a real offer down to the penny. No back and forth, no surprises, just an experience you can trust. Like your offer? Accept it. Schedule pickup, and we'll come to you with a check in hand. Your car, your timeline, your terms. Visit Carvana.com to sell your car today.
Carvana.
Delivery fees and terms may apply.